Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a high-stakes, modern-day heist. And no, we're not talking about masked robbers going after vaults of gold bullion. We're talking about a digital battlefield where the prize is pharmaceutical intellectual property. Let's unpack exactly how and why the very industry dedicated to keeping us healthy has landed squarely in the crosshairs of global cybercriminals.
You know, it's pretty wild. A recent study by Deloitte actually found that the pharma industry has become the absolute #1 target for cybercriminals globally. #1. But why the sudden surge? Well, think back to the immense global disruptions of the COVID-19 pandemic. Practically overnight, the entire world was relying on pharma manufacturers for breakneck vaccine research. That incredible concentration of incredibly valuable data mixed with desperate global demand, it basically painted a massive bullseye right on the sector's back.
It really boils down to this harsh reality. In an industry where innovation literally takes years and costs millions of dollars, stealing intellectual property fast-tracks competitors without them having to do any of the grueling groundwork. I mean, think about it. It starkly contrasts the years of painstaking, multi-million-dollar R&D required to invent life-saving drugs with the few simple keystrokes it takes for a bad actor to just swipe them. Why spend a decade sweating in a lab when you could just breach a server?
So why exactly is this happening on such a massive scale? Well, it's really driven by a dual motive. On one hand, you've got the immediate financial payouts. Take early 2020, for example. A company named ExecuPharm suffered a massive breach where extremely sensitive data, stuff like social security numbers, passport details, and bank accounts, were all stolen just to be hawked on the dark web. But on the other hand, you have the long-term competitive advantage. State-sponsored attackers aren't just looking for a quick buck. They're playing the long game, trying to secure technological or commercial dominance for their entire domestic economy.
Expanding on that second motive, intelligence reports actually indicate that state-sponsored groups from countries like China and Russia frequently target this kind of critical data. Specifically, groups identified as Dragonfly and Blackfly have been known to infiltrate these networks. To give you a real-world example, back in 2018, a biochemist pleaded guilty to stealing trade secrets from GlaxoSmithKline, specifically to benefit domestic industries abroad. The goal here is simple, but it's devastating. Bypass years of heavy financial investments in R&D to fast-track their own national pharmaceutical capabilities.
Okay, so how are these attackers actually getting inside these incredibly secure facilities? We can kind of look at this as the vulnerability equation. Ironically, the very technology pushing medicine forward is creating an abundance of digital entry points. The industry's heavy reliance on AI and the Internet of Things just means way more devices are online. Plus, information technology and operational technology networks are now highly interconnected, meaning an attack on one can easily bleed into the other. Throw in a complex web of third-party supply chain links where attackers target smaller vendors just to leapfrog into the primary network, and you've got a massive attack surface.
And this brings us to the human element of the heist, which is honestly fascinating. Get this, a shocking 20% of employees don't even believe there's a need for cybersecurity training. Another 25% never receive on-the-job training, and only about a third, 34%, are actually aware of their workplace cybersecurity policies. That staggering lack of awareness among staff basically acts as a wide-open vault door, because let's face it, even the absolute best security strategy in the world is totally useless if the people inside the vault don't know how to lock it.
Which brings us to arguably the most pressing question of this entire explainer. With literally millions of dollars poured into traditional security software, firewalls, and antivirus programs, how exactly are these sophisticated digital cat burglars bypassing the software defenses entirely? Because trust me, they aren't just waltzing through the front door anymore.
Very often they deploy incredibly aggressive malware and ransomware. And when critical systems are encrypted until a ransom is paid, the damage in a time-sensitive industry like pharma is absolutely catastrophic. Take the 2017 NotPetya attack on Merck, for example. It caused global operational disruptions that literally halted the production of new drugs. That same year, the WannaCry incident shut down healthcare systems and pharma plants worldwide. And just last year, giants like Roche and Bayer were hit with malware. So this isn't just theoretical. It's actively halting global medicine as we speak.
But there's a much more insidious method at play here: the use of rogue devices. We define these as hardware manipulated with malicious intent. And here's the truly terrifying part. They go completely undetected by standard security software. Why? Because they operate on the physical layer. We're not talking about lines of code floating through a network. We're talking about tangible, physical hardware implants just hiding in plain sight.
Because these rogue devices sit right on the physical layer, they exploit a massive, glaring blind spot in corporate security. Attackers use spoofed USB human interface devices, or HID interfaces. So to all that expensive security software actively hunting for hackers, this rogue device just looks like a completely harmless computer mouse or a standard keyboard plugged into a server. It raises absolutely zero alarms, all while quietly acting as the ultimate skeleton key for the attacker.
And as you can imagine, this vulnerability triggers a cascade of real-world consequences. We're not just talking about the massive financial costs of ransoms, legal fines, and lost revenue. It causes immediate operational disruption, totally halting clinical trials and research. That inevitably leads to severe reputational damage, completely eroding consumer trust. But most critically, it creates immense patient safety risks. Just look at the Merck attack, where the supply of HPV vaccines was severely impacted. These digital attacks can directly endanger human lives by delaying essential medical treatments.
So the absolutely crucial takeaway is this: you cannot stop a hardware threat that you cannot see. It's that simple. If your security software is completely blind to a rogue device spoofing a keyboard, your entire network is vulnerable. Addressing this massive challenge necessitates a fundamentally new type of high-tech security vault, one that provides ultimate, unbroken visibility into all hardware assets, regardless of how they connect.
Enter Hackbook. This is a genuinely disruptive solution engineered specifically to shine a giant spotlight right on those physical layer blind spots. It's designed to ensure that absolutely no device on a pharmaceutical company's network goes unmanaged. Essentially, it bridges that critical gap that traditional software solutions completely miss.
Let's break down exactly how Hackbook operates. Step 1. Deep visibility of all connected hardware across IT, OT, and IoT environments. Step 2. It calculates what's called a physical layer digital twin, using device descriptors to build a replica of the hardware and compare it against known threats. And finally, Step 3. Machine learning behavioral analysis. Basically, if a device that registered as a simple mouse suddenly starts rapid-firing command codes, Hackbook instantly blocks it dead in its tracks.
And perhaps the best part for the IT teams actually managing these massive pharmaceutical networks? Hackbook allows administrators to enforce strict, enterprise-wide policies instantly. You don't have to go through the massive headache of baselining a clean environment first, and there's no tedious whitelisting required. With its predefined templates, it offers a surprisingly fast and easy setup to help you regain full control over the physical layer. I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. If the very future of medicine relies on technology, can we really afford to leave its hardware unprotected? As our most incredible medical breakthroughs become fully digitized, securing the physical layer isn't just an IT issue anymore. With threat actors working around the clock to steal our most vital medical secrets, protecting this infrastructure is genuinely a matter of global health and survival. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning what's plugged into your network.